Because there's some people that they literally hate their job and they hate going there every single day, but they're still doing it and they're miserable. And I just feel like, especially people that have 9 to 5s, and even not, but we spend, a large part of our day doing whatever it is we do for a living. You know what I mean? And it's like, if
Mhm.
you don't enjoy doing it, it affects so many aspects of your life. You know what I mean? It can affect, your marriage, your relationship, because when you get up, you're dreading going to that job, and then a lot of times when you come home, you might be in a mood or something, because you've, been there all day doing something that you don't enjoy doing.
Yeah, you better. Guess you want this, I want this. Everybody in this world should have it. Stop illusions, it's in your hands. Show yourself, reveal it to them. Yeah, you better. Check the time to recognize it. You won't leave me even if I tried it. You're the artist, I'm the mess, and happily be found the new in your hands. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unlimited with Elisabeth Carson. Today, I have a very special guest. Oh my gosh, I've been watching her Instagram like a weirdo. I've just been watching your story and I just get so inspired by what you do, Snoop. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. And, I really, really respect women that are entrepreneurs, like business owners and people just out here, women out here really creating like such grand things like you have. So I just, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, yes. And I read her bio and I didn't know this because, like I said, I know you from Instagram
Mhm.
and I've seen you in Atlanta, but you're actually from Detroit. So,
Yep, for sure. Yeah. So born and raised in Detroit.
Mhm.
Well, we moved from Detroit when I was about 11. So
Mhm.
moved from Detroit to actually Nashville, Tennessee, which was totally, totally different
Different.
from
Yeah.
growing up in Detroit. And then I've been here in Atlanta for about the past 17 years. So
Yes, yes. Wow. And you're doing huge things in Atlanta, Snoop. I mean, just from what I've seen, I think you have like multiple businesses. Can you talk about the first one that you launched in Atlanta?
yeah, so the first business that I launched in Atlanta was actually a party bus company. It was called Party Bus Kings. I started that business probably maybe about my second year of being here in Atlanta. So I had the background as a party promoter. Uh,
Mhm.
and I started my first lounge in Nashville, Tennessee when I was 24, but it was wildly unsuccessful. We closed after only being open for about 2 months.
Uh-huh.
Lost my first $30,000 business investment. And so when I came to Atlanta, I was just like, I am done with hospitality. I'll never open up a lounge or restaurant again. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And yeah, I ended up starting a party bus company.
Uh-huh.
They ended up becoming very successful, but I did not like it. I didn't like what I was doing. I was making
Mhm.
good money, but I hated it. But yeah, so
Mhm.
Party Bus Kings was the very first business that I opened here.
Uh-huh. Wow, wow. So you said you were never gonna do hospitality ever again.
Yeah.
Ever again. And isn't that what you fell into though?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So how did that happen?
So, after starting the party bus company, I ended up moving to this area. Well, I also started promoting parties again. So I started promoting parties again, which kind of led me back into that space.
Mhm.
And so I ended up moving into this area, and there was a space that was like right across the street from the high rise that I was living in that was available. And it was a very small space. So I felt like the rent was only like $1,200 a month. Can you imagine owning a restaurant or lounge and your rent is only $1,200 a month? But
What?
it's very, very small.
Uh-huh.
It probably was not even. I mean, it was maybe like a 1,100 square feet. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? So it
Uh-huh.
was super tiny, but I just felt like, there's no way I can fail with something this small and something this cheap.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what led me back into the hospitality space. I ended up opening up a spot called the Hookah Hideaway here in Atlanta.
Mhm.
It was very, very popular. We ended up being like one of the very first after hour spots, and it would just be like tons of people outside. Like we'd be out there grilling, all type of stuff. It was like in the summertime, it was a block party every night on the weekend. But yeah, so that's basically what kind of led me back into hospitality after moving here to Atlanta.
Wow, wow. So you said that your first hospitality business, it didn't do well and you lost a whole bunch of money. So what's a common mistake that new entrepreneurs make that keeps them broke?
Oh man, so that's a really good question. So I could answer it in so many different ways. I thought you was just gonna ask what's a common mistake that new entrepreneurs make just in general, but one that I feel like new entrepreneurs make that keep them broke is that they elevate their lifestyle too quickly.
Yeah.
So they start making money. They want to go get new car, bigger place.
Yeah.
Wearing all this designer clothes, the
Right.
jewelry.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of that stuff. And I personally feel like, for like at least a year or two, you should keep your same lifestyle and just stack your money up and invest, learn how to make your money work harder for you, and multiply it, you know what I'm saying, before you actually start increasing your lifestyle. Because the thing is a lot of times they haven't even owned that business long enough to know like what's going to be their high season, what's going to be their low season. If this making money with this business, how long is it even going to last? You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I think that's a huge mistake that I see a lot of people make.
Mhm.
And especially that I also saw like during COVID, uh,
Mm.
during COVID, uh, it was just money just floating around, you know what I'm saying?
Yo,
And,
crazy.
unemployment.
Yeah.
Um, well, what do we have? The PPP loans.
Yeah, all those things. Yes.
You had all these people, and then the price for things were jacked up, right? Because
Mhm, mhm,
there was so many people out buying stuff, you know what I'm saying? And so then once that money kind of disappeared, because it was really fake money, you had a lot of people buying and having, these things that they really couldn't afford, that ended
mhm.
up becoming grave liabilities.
Crazy. That time was so crazy. I remember it was a shift from like virtual teaching back to in-person teaching. And that shift, it was such a weird space because during COVID, it was like, yo, everybody was buying virtual classes. And I think we sold like a class in my last place for like, I think we made like 1.8 off of one workshop online. And then a year later, tried to sell a workshop online and it was like 10 grand. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
That COVID, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Mhm.
So how do you know when it's time to walk away from a business? So you said you lost the first time you did it. So like, how did you know it was time to just let it go?
Well, I mean, I had to let it go. We didn't
Oh
even
no.
have proper licenses, so I didn't have
Oh.
a choice, But um, that's a really good question. And I've had different businesses or like different industries that I've been involved in, that I've, walked away from. So I feel like anything that does not serve your peace, your mental,
Uh-huh.
is something that you need to walk away from. Sometimes, a lot of times too, like when you do partnerships, just that partnership doesn't work out, or it sours and you just realize that, you can't do business with a particular person.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's something to walk away from. But I think all of that lies up under the umbrella of mental, having good, mental peace, because it don't matter how much money you make, if you're not mentally right, you're not going to be happy. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, and then also, I think too, when it comes to like walking away from something like, uh, it's so funny because I was just talking to a friend of mine earlier, and we were talking about how like Party City, all of the party cities, have gone out of business, or like,
Has
literally,
it?
you got so many stores,
Uh-huh.
chain stores that are going out of business. And the thing is like, your business has to transcend. And sometimes you're in something that just can't, it can't keep up with the test of time, you know what I mean? And how how the world is just evolving, you know. So one example that I always use is, you know, Comcast slash Xfinity. You know, they started out just being a cable company, right?
Uh-huh.
Just imagine had they not did security systems, you know, had they not did wireless internet and mobility, you know what I mean? They'd be out of business because how many times do you actually go over someone's house and they have cable? You know,
Right.
rarely. You know, most people are, you know, they got Netflix, Hulu, um,
Mhm.
Apple TV, you know, these streaming services. So
Mhm.
a lot of times it's also, you know, making sure that your business evolves with, you know, the test of time.
Yes, so good, so good. And so many people don't do that. It's like you have to think, I tell people you have to really think like 5, 10 years in advance and
Mm,
then be there already. The new thing that people look at you a little weird about, like that's weird. But then, you can see the trends,
for
study the trends. Yes.
I
Yes.
think another thing too, how you know when it's time to walk away from a business is when you've just lost all passion for it. You know, it's no longer something that you love. You know, it's no longer something that you would do. You know, whether you were making money or not. You know what I mean? But once that passion is gone,
Mm.
it's hard to really stay in and stay devoted and focused and give it, you know, the business what it needs to be successful.
Oh, I swear that was like the last place that I was at. I would dread waking up
Mhm.
just because it was like I was so over it at the end. I'm like, ugh, and at that point, it's so hard to even, I mean, you can still be successful and hate it, but it's like, why? Just mental health, mental health. Yes, the most important thing, the most.
Mhm.
So, what's your formula for launching a successful business in a very saturated market?
So I think one, like you want to have some type of competitive edge.
Mhm,
So I would say like two industries that I'm currently in are very oversaturated, you know,
mhm.
where I'm at. So salon suites, as well as restaurants. You know, here in Atlanta, I mean, you got a new restaurant
Yes,
lounge popping up every single week. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, what are you going to do that's different? You know, you can't just throw up a grass wall and sell lamb chops and wings and think that, you know, people are going to come into your spot. You know what I'm saying? So
mhm,
also, you know, your pricing, you know, has to be very competitive. You know what I'm saying? So,
mhm,
and then another thing too is like, okay, you don't have to open up in metro Atlanta, you know, drive out, you know, 20, 30 miles out, you know what I'm saying? Where it's still, you know, you're still able to get to your business every single day, you know, but you're at least in a market that isn't so saturated, you know. But if you are
mhm.
going to do something that's in a saturated market, you have to be different. You know, you have to come up with something that's going to set you apart.
Yes, 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 100. What would you do differently if you started all over? Would you do anything different in business?
Yes, I definitely would. I would be careful about the pace in which I grow. I think a
Mm,
lot of people grow too quickly. And so, like, for example, during COVID, we've seen so much rapid success, and we were just opening up more and more and more restaurants, you know,
yeah.
and once the world settled down, you know, that kind of made things a little difficult, you know, for us. At times, I wish I would have just did, you know, the two Escobars franchised and, you know, left it up to the franchisees, you know. So I think also too, like taking your hands off of business, you know, you can't get comfortable, you know, which I've learned that so many times at so many different points in my career. You know, it's like even if you've got, you know, good management,
Yeah.
you got good managers, you got good GMs, good kitchen managers, you know, it's still your business and nobody is going to take care of it and run it the way that you will, you know. And then, you know, I've always been really good about like saving and investing and just kind of like getting into like a lot of different things and spreading my money out. But I think I would have put more, even more of my money into the market, the investment
Mhm,
market, stock market, versus you know, buying buildings and stuff like that, you know. So
mhm.
and then lastly, like taxes, man, you know. I've been beat over the head in taxes, and so I just at times wish I would have had a better CPA. I wish I would have thought about taxes beforehand versus after.
After. Yeah. So why do you say stocks instead of real estate?
We'll see, like just like I mentioned, taxes. A lot of business having tax issues, and they can always put liens on real estate. They not putting it on stocks. So
Right.
um, yeah, so that's why I say that. And then I've just seen so much growth, with my money in the stock market, and with real estate, it's an asset, but it's also tied to a liability.
Yes, yes. And it's really hands on. I had a couple spots in Detroit and oh my God, it was like, I was getting calls like every other day, like this is broken, complaining about this. Oh, this tenant did this. I'm like, geez, okay,
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah. It can be a headache at times.
Yes, yes. And I do think it's very important that you said, you have to have your own hands in your business because other people not going to run it like you do. So, I mean, it's so important to do that. That's why I really agree with you when it comes to investing into stocks because you have to have your hands in the business. So if you have a bunch of buildings, it's like it's too much.
Yeah,
It's too much.
yeah.
Too much. So what have you experienced being a minority woman and a businesswoman? Have you had any, troubles or obstacles, do you think, that relate to that?
So I would say not as much really here in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Definitely when I lived in Nashville. Nashville is just more of like the good old boy network. At that time, that was more than 17 years ago. So I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me, opening up businesses. I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me in City Hall, that were, actually issuing permits and things of that nature. So not only was there not a lot of other fellow minority business owners, but also the people that I needed to work with, to get my business open, they did not look like me and they did not relate to me.
Mhm.
And I feel like they weren't as willing to help me. And that was a huge difference of what I seen when I actually moved here to Atlanta because my eyes were open to so many minority male and female business owners, that had money. And then when I was going to City Hall to get permits and get licenses and stuff, everybody there looked like me, so
Uh-huh.
they were willing to help, So I think that that's really important. I do not think that I would have experienced a lot of the success that I've been able to experience had I not been in a city like Atlanta.
Mhm, mhm. What advice would you give to a minority women that are not, like let's say in
Move,
Nashville?
move.
Move? Really?
Move, man. Why stay
Mm,
somewhere where it's gonna be hard on you, when you can go somewhere where it's much easier,
yeah.
especially if you know that you are an entrepreneur at heart and that's what you want to do, you know what I mean? Why not go somewhere where your business is gonna flourish and grow versus somewhere where you're gonna, have to jump over an obstacle at every turn. Running a business is already hard enough.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I just
And I know it sounds drastic, but I mean, we live in a country where there's what 51 states, you know what I'm saying? If you
uh-huh.
count, Hawaii and Puerto Rico, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we here to experience all of this land, you know what I'm saying? Not just, where you from, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of times, we need to be in the mentality of, hey, I'm gonna chase my dreams. And even if that means, I need to move and go somewhere where it's better for me, then that's what I'm gonna do. That was why I personally came to Atlanta.
Mhm. Wow, that's deep. And you know what? It makes me so sad that life is like that though. Like it should just I wish that everything was equal all the way across the board for everybody.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
just
know why they call it the United States of America because it's not united and it's not equal.
okay. Okay, say it again. Okay, seriously, like really though.
Yeah.
Really. It just, that's one of the things that I just I've experienced a lot being a woman in business.
Mm,
Like, I mean, the way that you look, and then oh well, she can't be smart and she doesn't know what she's doing because she looks like that. It's
mm.
like these perspectives. They aggravate me. Have you have you come across any hardships like you said you haven't? And it's been because
I
you've
mean,
been in Atlanta?
I've had general, like, business hardships, but
Uh-huh.
nothing because of the way I look or because of my skin color, not here in Atlanta. I definitely experienced it in
Oh,
Nashville, and I
mhm,
definitely experienced it in Knoxville, Tennessee. I had a media publication in Knoxville, and
mhm.
just for my business to even reach the pinnacle, the level that it did, I had to have a white guy as the front of my company. You know what I mean? Nobody even
Mhm.
knew that I owned the business. And then he ended up stealing the business from me right up under my nose, you know? So,
Oh my God.
yes, I've definitely experienced it. I just haven't experienced it in a long time, once I decided to, change and actually move, away from, where those things were going on.
Right, right. Yeah, makes sense. So you spoke about a partner. Okay. So how do you choose the right partner in business?
I'm first of all, like, you really need to know the person, and you guys need to sit down and determine, like, who's gonna bring what to the table, and you need
Mhm,
to be comfortable with that because everybody doesn't work the same. Everybody doesn't have the same skill set. Everybody is not gonna be as tied into the business as you may be. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And then I also believe too, like, when there are multiple business owners, the employee need to essentially know who the boss is. And everybody has to be on the same page. It's like if there's two restaurant owners, they can't be going to one person and they say one thing and then the other owner is saying another thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think those things are very, very important. And then, of course, everything needs to be on paper. There is no spoken word, no spoken agreements.
Handshakes.
Everything. We got contracts around here.
Yes, yes, absolutely. What are some red flags when you may partner in business? Are there any red flags that people should look out for?
You know, um, I had a business one time that I actually had to walk away from. So we were talking about just, how do you know when it's time to leave a business? And now we're talking about business partners. So I had a media publication that I was doing in Nashville, Tennessee. It was called Face It. And basically, it was like one of those mugshot publications that used to be out back in the day that came out once a week. And the guy that I was doing business with, he was from Detroit as well. I did not know him very well. I was just
Mhm,
getting started in business. I did not know a lot of the things that I'm saying right now. And I went into business with him. He was very, very hardworking, did not have any issues with his work ethic.
mhm.
But, he was stealing, and would not stop stealing and was stealing right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? And I was the one who had put up the majority of the money for the
Aw,
business. You know what I'm saying? So that was definitely like very hurtful, but I didn't stick around for long. I ended up leaving, very shortly thereafter because just wasn't something that I was willing to put up with.
yeah, yeah, good. That's good. A lot of people stay in things because they're scared of the other side of like not knowing
Mhm.
instead of really just, walking away from things, which I think is so incredibly powerful to do that sometimes when it's the right thing to do for you. So,
Mhm.
yes, that's good. What is one rule that you live by no matter what?
Balance, work-life
Mhm,
balance. That always has been very important to me, and it's still, just very important to me. Like, I'm not the type of person that is going to just like work my life away. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? I'm not going to play too hard either. Like I have good balance, but this is one thing that I say all the time. And, I've lost a couple people like very close to me in my life. And it just even instilled this even more. But it's like, on our tombstones, it's not gonna say Snoop, the business owner, Snoop, the owner of Escobar, the owner of Remedy Salon Suites. It's gonna say, mother, hopefully again, wife, friend, daughter, sister, etc. So that alone just tells you that the things that are most important is, how we spend our time here and how we impact, the other relationships, that we have in life, with each other. um,
mhm.
Not necessarily, what you did for a living, but how you treated people, how good you were to people. And so I believe more so in just like creating experiences, making experience in life, versus just always, working super hard.
Right, right. And isn't that hard for you because you own a bunch of businesses? I mean, you got your hands in this stuff, you got your hands in that stuff, you're investing into things, you're doing. How do you create the time to do that? Like how?
With my calendar, you know what I'm saying? Like I put the time in, and then now like I've been working so hard ever since I was like 20, so I just turned 40 this year. It's semi-retirement time, baby. I'm not working super hard for the rest of my life. I'm not
Yes,
working until I die.
yes, yes. You know what? This is so interesting to me, Snoop, because like for me, it's hard for me to balance because I feel like my work is my life, you know? Because I mean, I do things like this. I talk to fantastic people with so much knowledge and I mean, I love it, you know? I'm deep into it. I mean, research and just, I feel like my life is my work.
Mhm.
So, what's your advice for me? Because I mean, I have a 12-year-old and we do spend tons and tons of time together. I bring him with me places like on my tours and, on stage with me when I speak. I bring him everywhere. But what would your advice be
I
to
mean,
me?
but for yours, you might be all right. You know what I mean? If it's something that you still can spend time, with your child, maybe your parents, your friends, and stuff like that. If you don't feel like you're missing out on anything, then you good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For me, with what I do, it's not the same. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So, my people don't want to go and sit up in the restaurants all day long. You know what I'm saying? Or in the salon suites. And
Mhm,
for me, like I love to travel. I love to
mhm.
travel internationally. So that's what I like to give a lot of my time to now.
Mhm, mhm. That's dope. That's dope. Yes, yes, yes. I was actually a chef for 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it was oh my god, I died. I died over and over again, and then part of my soul died as well. It was like
You didn't
working.
like it.
Oh my god, are you serious? It was like 14-hour days. I would get pans thrown at my head if I ever sat down,
Yeah.
and it was like too much. I was 3 in the morning this one time. You know how you gotta deep clean the kitchens? Like, you
Mhm.
have to do the deep cleans at least once a week. So every Saturday, we would have to stay there until like 4 a.m. deep cleaning, and I'm on the ground scrubbing up pig's blood, and I was like, "Okay, look,
Mhm.
this is not for me. This is not for me. I quit."
What was like was that your breaking point?
Yeah, mhm, it
Yeah,
was.
that's good. That's good
Yeah.
that you were able to walk away from it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some people that they literally hate their job and they hate going there every single day, but they're still doing it and they're miserable. And I just feel like, especially people that have 9 to 5s, and even not, but we spend, a large part of our day doing whatever it is we do for a living. You know what I mean? And it's like, if
Mhm.
you don't enjoy doing it, it affects so many aspects of your life. You know what I mean? It can affect, your marriage, your relationship, because when you get up, you're dreading going to that job, and then a lot of times when you come home, you might be in a mood or something, because you've, been there all day doing something that you don't enjoy doing.
Mhm. Yes, yes. And I will tell people, man, on the other side, the grass is greener. I swear it is. So if you do not like your job, walk away from that walk away from it seriously because you're just wasting time. I
Yeah.
really feel like everybody is put here for a purpose and a reason. We all have specific talents and creative aspects of ourselves that we're supposed to show into the world, you know? And if we're literally just sheep going, clocking into a job because we're scared that there's nothing else for us to do out there, we're not doing God's work. I
Mhm.
mean, literally, we're here for a purpose and a reason.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I would tell everybody, walk
I agree.
away, walk away.
I agree.
Yes. What is your mindset on building generational wealth?
Oh, I mean, it's absolutely necessary. Now, mine is a little bit different because I lost my only child a couple years ago, and that that everything was going to hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
working so hard and creating all of this to have generational wealth for her. And she was my only child, and I don't have any more. I
Mhm.
might be, blessed with some more kids before I leave this earth. But I think that's very important, and I think it's important to involve your kids young in whatever it is that you are creating that is going to be generational wealth. They need to know how to run and work the business. You know what I'm saying? They
Mhm.
should grow up in it.
Yeah.
But they should also have an opportunity to do whatever it is that they want to do. I don't think it should be like, just because, okay, I own and run restaurants, that my daughter was going to have to do the same if she
Mhm.
ended up deciding that it just wasn't something that she enjoyed.
Mhm.
But I think it's very important. There's a show on, I think it's A&E. But I forget the name of it, but it's about like the Rockefellers, the Hiltons,
Mhm.
the Gettys, all of these famous families that all the way back in the 1800s, built all of this wealth that has been passed down from decade to decade to decade. The Vanderbilts, you know what I mean? And
Right.
everything was put in trust, and, like everything was done so intricately so that the wealth could be preserved from
Mhm.
generation to generation. And I think that's extremely important. And um, like really happy for minorities that it's like we're kind of just now catching on. Like I also own a life insurance company, and it's
Mhm.
crazy how much you have to beg people to get life insurance.
Mhm.
Like people just really don't think about it. I guess people
Mhm.
don't think that they're going to pass, or what it is, or I don't know if they're selfish and they don't care, how they gonna have to be put in the ground. It's gonna be left on somebody else. But that's one easy way to be able to also leave generational wealth, for your family. But yeah, I think it's very important. But I do think that more and more people, especially minorities, are catching on. And I think that we're starting to do a better job about establishing generational wealth.
Absolutely, I agree. I totally agree. Um, what do you like your team, right? How do you guys address financial literacy? Is that important with you and your business partners and your team of employees and stuff?
You know what? Not necessarily like through my restaurants, but I'm a consultant. I'm a coach as well, right? So I
Mhm.
teach people how to open up salon suites. Um,
Mhm.
I have a credit repair company, so I fix probably over 300 people's credit. But I teach.
Girl, let me talk to you after this.
But yeah, so like with my salon suite consultant, I help people get their credit fixed. I help them get business funding so that they can open up a salon suite business and not have to spend any money out of their own pockets. So I do a lot when it comes to financial literacy, in just that zone right there, and that has become primarily what I focus on. So right now, my restaurants, I have all franchises in all locations, so I don't really have to operate the restaurants much anymore. Um,
Mhm.
as part of me being semi-retired,
Mhm.
my salon suites, they're very passive, So right now, what I'm primarily focusing on is, my salon suite consulting. And so that's where I'm able to do a lot of the teaching with, financial literacy, as well as in my mentorship program. I got young kids, even like people in their 20s, 25 and below, that
Mhm.
I go and speak to and just, help them, because I know when I was coming up, they didn't really talk about credit. They didn't talk about business credit at all. I
Yep.
mean, I started all of my first businesses, on my own, with my own money. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So just to even see like how easy it is, to get business funding, and how
Mhm.
so many people have been doing this for years, and we're just now kind of figuring it out, within the past 5 years or so.
Yes, exactly. Because they don't teach you in school the things that are kind of important in life. They teach you why a leaf is green, but they don't teach you credit or how to buy a house or how to launch a business. They don't teach you none of the important things, just at all, at all. What is one money rule that you live by no matter what?
Man, you got to invest, like you have to invest and live below your means.
Live below your means, guys. Live below the means. Okay, stack.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And
Got to.
yeah.
Um, so how did you create your brand and you made it stand out so much? You made it unforgettable in today's market. How did you do that?
Which one?
All of them. All of them.
We'll be here all day long if we talk about all of them. But even just with like Escobar, we wanted to do something that was like a restaurant during the day, but but had a lounge vibe at night, and where
Mhm,
you can still get good food all day long. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
So that was kind of what we did with that one. With Remedy, my salon suites brand. That brand, I wanted it to be more so like luxury salon suites. And I came up with the name Remedy, and it's this octagon shape, right? That kind of like connects everything. And Remedy is basically like the remedy for all of your beauty needs. So you come to
mm,
our salon suite, you can get your hair done, your nails done, your lashes done. I mean, everything that you need done, beauty wise. And then my particular like personal brand, so my nickname is Snoop. My personal brand is Who is Snoop. And so like that's just like my book that's coming out this Friday. It's called Who is Snoop. And so it's the book is just basically about me and all of the things that I've gone through to be the success story that I am today. And so not only just business stuff, but personal things, a lot of things that people don't know about me. So but even with that, there's a couple other Snoops out there. One of them extremely famous, Snoop Dogg. Another girl, Snoop from The Wire. And so, like, when a lot of people refer to me, sometimes they don't just say Snoop; they'll say like, "Who is Snoop?" You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? And so, I think that
mhm.
that's kind of like unique and just setting me apart.
Yes, yes. And congratulations on your book coming out this Friday. That is so exciting.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's actually a two-part book. So the first part is called "Who is Snoop?" It is, as I mentioned, it's about my life, my journey. And then the second part of the book is called "Grieve, Grow, and Go," and it's for anybody that has ever just lost somebody, just how you actually pick up the pieces and learn to live with, such a big loss.
Yes. Oh my God. So that just gave me chills because I saw, I've been following you for a minute and I saw what happened. And honestly, I was tearing up and I just can't imagine. I can't imagine Snoop. I mean, I just give you so much like props for being able to keep on going after that because I said, that's one thing about me. Like, my son is like everything. So I just can't imagine. And to be able to do and continue to grow and continue to be out here every single day. I mean, I give you props for that. What is a couple pieces of advice for people that are maybe in that situation?
I mean, it's difficult. I definitely do not go at the same pace that I used to. I'm a totally different person than what I was, when my daughter was here on earth. And I think that, like, first and foremost, you have to give yourself grace. And it's not only a grieving process of grieving the loss and grieving the person, but you also grieve yourself, and who you used to be
Mm,
as well. But definitely, of course, giving yourself grace, giving yourself time to heal, listening to yourself, and what you need, whether it's therapy, whether it's time apart from other individuals, or just even being even more super social, because you don't want to be alone. I think when they say, and it sounds so cliche when they say that like everybody grieves differently, but it really
mhm,
is true. Everybody really does grieve differently. And I think, another thing that's like, really important is that, a lot of people may not understand, what you're going through, because a lot of times if you haven't lost anybody like really close to you, you can't relate. Like there's
mhm,
nothing in you that can even you just can't even imagine,
yeah,
what it feels like, and so, you never will, until you, really lose somebody, that's truly close to you. So, there'll be a lot of people that won't be able to relate to you, people that will say things that, they don't mean any harm by, like, oh my God, you're so strong. And it's like, ugh, you just don't know, you know what I'm saying? So,
mhm.
um, but it does get easier, and sometimes when you think it's getting easier and then bam, you hit with a hard day, you know what I mean, or a hard moment, you know. And so I just think the biggest thing is, giving yourself some grace.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. I just went through an experience. Well, I'm, going through a divorce right now, and that's never
Oh,
fun.
I hate to hear that.
Girl, is a lot. It's a lot. But it's like I saw like somebody, I was doing a little dance video because honestly, I'm really silly. And I'm like, for the first time in my life, stepping in front of my business instead of hiding behind somebody and building their business, building my own. And I'm silly, So I was like doing a little dancing video, and this lady was like, "Oh, well, it's fake. That's fake because you whatever." And I love that you said people grieve differently. They just grieve differently. I
Mhm.
don't choose to, focus on losses. I choose to transmute pain and try to project my future, kind of throw it into creating something that's positive in the future. So, I think it's important, definitely important, like to just, understand people are different and people think differently and handle things differently and not to judge people. One of my biggest pieces of advice for people is to mind your own business.
I know that's right.
Mind your own business, especially if you're getting offended by other people's business, then just mind your own.
I agree. I
Yes,
agree.
yes. What is a daily mindset ritual that you swear by? Is there any?
Uh, a daily mindset ritual. You know what? Not really, honestly. Not really.
No? Okay, so how do you keep yourself going on the bad days? Like what do you shift into? Is there anything that you do to kind of move yourself through bad days?
Yeah, like sometimes I just take a break.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sometimes I just take a break, like if I'm having a bad day or a difficult day, if I'm able to, like, but now that's why I've gotten to the point I only schedule like 2 meetings a day,
Mhm.
because sometimes, I just never know how I'm gonna feel from day to day.
Yes.
So I try
Yes.
not to put too much on myself. When it's before, girl, I'd be working sun up to sundown.
Oh, oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is important. It is important. I actually, I took a little mini vacation with my son like 2 weeks ago, and we just spent time in nature, and it was so
Nice.
fulfilling. It
That's
was so fulfilling. It's like fills your cup back up. You're pouring and pouring and pouring, and you got to take breaks. And
for sure.
yes, yes, I really think it's important to just. I think it's important to get out in nature and really just like be present. We're
Mhm.
so busy in America, and these systems are like work, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle until you make it, make it, make it, and that's what we've kind of been conditioned as since young. So I think it's important for people to slow down a little
Absolutely.
bit.
Yeah. Like when you go to other countries, man, they are not like this. It's a slow pace, easy, soft life.
Yes, yes, soft life. We are not conditioned to soft life over here. It's literally get up and work your ass off, go home, drink a
Yeah.
beer, and pass out.
And do it again.
No, it's just not. It's not it. It
It's not. It's not.
no. So I saw in your bio, Snoop, that there's a TV show coming out. So
Yeah.
have you filmed it? Like, what is
It's
that all about?
already filmed. I'm as soon as I get off with you, I got a call with Apple TV. Hopefully they'll have a date for us. But yeah, so I have a show coming out. It's called Snooping for Love. Everybody can check it out. They can go to the website www.snoopingforlove.com. But yeah, so it's a reality show that I filmed. I actually filmed it back in September of last year,
Uh-huh.
and it's basically kind of like Flavor of Love, with the
Yeah.
LGBTQ version. So I got
Uh-huh.
started with 20 women, and got all the way down to well, I can't tell y'all, what happens at the end. Yeah, so it was just kind of a different spin on me getting out there, trying to find love in a very unorthodox way versus, anything I've ever done before. And yeah, it was a hell of an experience. So it's going to be on Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and Tubi.
Oh, that's dope. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Where'd you guys film?
So we filmed here in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
We filmed. So I actually I rented a house for all of the girls to stay in. We filmed a little bit at my mansion. We did the last 2 episodes. We did in Miami, so I rented a dope spot down there in South Florida.
Uh-huh.
We got a yacht. Yeah, we had a good time with it. We had a good time with it. Yeah.
That is
And
dope.
it's a mix of everything. It's a mix of drama. It's a mix of love. It's a mix of emotions. It's very interesting. Yeah, but it was a great experience. I've always wanted to be in the TV and film industry.
Uh-huh.
And before I was just like really, really busy, like running my businesses, just never really had a chance to, kind of take time to get into it. And so after I went through my divorce, it was something that I had came up with, that I wanted to do. And I never really like saw myself being like in front of the camera. I always just seen myself more so like being like an EP directing, stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I mean, with this, I got to do everything, so
Yeah.
I'm the creator of the show, starred in it, and executive producer as well. So it was a dope experience for sure. And we might have a season 2 coming. Who knows?
That's what I was just about to ask you. Is there a season 2?
Tell you that. You got to watch the show and kind of go from there.
Yes. You said when does that drop?
So we're hoping the end of July. I got a call when I get off with you at 4 o'clock to see, if they got a date for us yet.
Oh, that is so dope. Well, look, I mean, you're doing so much out here, Snoop. I mean, books and TV shows on businesses. You got mentoring. I mean, how do you keep everything organized?
Man, I'm old school. My little planner right here, man. I put everything in this planner. And then I take my breaks too. Like next weekend, I'm going to Italy. I got
Mm,
Greece in August. I work hard, but I also believe in enjoying myself,
yeah.
and one of the things that I really enjoy doing, like I said, is traveling. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. What advice would you give to new entrepreneurs just, that don't really understand how to get out here and do their thing?
Mentorship. You have to invest in mentorship. A lot of times you can't do this on your own. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes, but
Mhm.
mentorship, yeah, you might have to pay something on the front end, but it's definitely going to save you tons of money and time on the back end. It's going to help you, getting with somebody that's well established, that has already done what you want to do, is
Mhm.
going to save you time. You're going to end up, accomplishing that goal faster than you would on your own, and you'll end up saving money as well. And so, like, I feel like mentorship is like very important. I still invest in mentorship programs for myself to this day.
Yeah, I agree with that. I so agree with that. And you know what? You'd save money. That's what people don't understand. It's like you invest up front, but you end up saving so much money because you're not going to make the mistakes of,
Yeah,
someone brand new.
finally.
Yes, yes. So important. So important. I definitely, definitely agree. So, what next for you, Snoop? I mean, yeah, what next for
Man,
you?
I told you I'm semi-retired. I definitely want to do more in TV and film for
Yeah.
sure.
Uh-huh.
So that's where a lot of my shift is going to go.
Mhm.
Is to, TV and film projects, even outside of Snooping for Love. I got some other ideas, just for like short films and movies and other
Uh-huh.
various series. So that's where I'm going to be putting a lot of my time into. I would like to be able to live out of the country half of the year,
Uh-huh.
and just kind of slow down a little bit and stop and enjoy the fruits of working hard for 20 plus years.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Are you going to write another book?
We'll see.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Snoop, where can people find you?
So people can find me on Instagram at Who Is Snoop. They can also go to my website, whoissnoop.com, and it has all of the links to everything I have going on.
Amazing, amazing, guys. All the links will be in the description of this video too. Is there any last words that you want to leave people with today?
Man, any last words? I just want to say that, a lot of times we focus so much on being successful and making money and paying the bills and doing all of the things. But you know what, man, y'all, this life is short. Make sure y'all enjoy it as much as you possibly can. We are not here for a long time at all. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you enjoy it while you're here.
Yes, I agree. Well, Snoop, thank you so much for being here with me today and dropping all these gems. I know a lot of people are going to, get a lot from this episode. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so
Right,
much.
for sure. Looking forward to the link so I can share it.
Yes. All right, guys. Until next time, this was Unlimited with Elisabeth Carson. Peace, peace, peace.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and don't necessarily reflect those of the producers or affiliates. We do not guarantee the accuracy of the content. Please verify information and seek professional advice when needed. By listening, you agree not to hold us liable for any actions taken based on this content. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you enjoy the episodes ahead.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to stay on this journey with me. There is so much more ahead. Courses, mentoring, healing circles, retreats, safe spaces to heal and grow. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and stay connected. We are not alone. In this journey, we're on it together.